Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Minions of the Zoo Night Stream, Thursday edition. I'm your host, Prospero. Minions joining me this evening are Skep Tock.
Hi, everybody.
Sanguine Mathghamhain.
Good evening, all.
Jenna.
Hello.
Blind Press.
Hello.
And he's just about worn out that new car smell, DrFunctional.
Oh, it's getting a little ripe, actually.
Oh, good. Thank you for sharing.
Well, it is
My
hot.
first stream with him as a minion.
Woohoo!
It is your first stream with him as a minion. It is indeed. DrFunctional, how was your day?
Sleepy. I slept most of the day away. It was great.
Were you up most of the night?
Yeah, I've been on a huge painting kick for my war hamsters, and had a buddy come over, and we were just watching wrestling, doing painting, and I passed out. Yeah.
Hey, it's just as long as you're getting your sleep, right? BP, how was your day?
My day was good. I did my Twitch stream this afternoon, and then this evening I was just hanging around on the tournament website that I go to, the eslgaming.com, and I saw that the Open qualifies for EVO, which is a fighting game tournament. It has like different fighting games in it. But I saw that Mortal Kombat, the Open qualifiers for Mortal Kombat's EVO showing, were scheduled for July 8th. So I went, fuck it, and signed up. So I will be playing in the qualifiers on July 8th, and there's absolutely no guarantee that I'll get past there, but EVO is probably the biggest fighting game tournament on the planet, and if it weren't for COVID, there's no way in hell I would even get a chance to qualify for EVO, because I don't have the money to travel. So this is pretty cool. Even if I don't advance, I get to say that I tried out for EVO. So, yeah.
Ooh, that's excellent. That is excellent. Good for you.
The EVO, we are evil.
I know, really. That's just absolutely. Jenna, how are you doing?
I'm alive,
This we are glad to know.
and I'm okay.
Well,
On the other,
that's good. How is the little one?
Nicholas is doing great. He sleeps 7 hours now a night.
Wow.
That's just wrong.
You are so lucky.
Yeah, he's 3 weeks old.
That's
Today.
so wrong.
Just amazingly lucky.
I can't believe he's 3 weeks old. He isn't quite smiling, but is almost there. And on a different child note, Landon saved someone from drown. He's a lifeguard, and he saved some swimmers that got out too deep.
Good for
Did he
him.
do the Baywatch slow-mo run to get them?
No, but
doesn't-
when
He
James
doesn't
went
have
to
large
visit
enough
him,
tits.
he was sitting in his little lifeguard chair,
Right.
and all the girls had their towels around him. You know,
Aw.
they were seated all around him. Which reminds me I need to buy a shotgun.
Playa, playa.
Mothers are to sons like fathers to daughters. It's not all that
I just-
surprising.
Jenna,
Yeah.
I had to have a conversation with the child who will be 7 next week, because he was watching Hotel Transylvania 3, which is about Dracula trying to find a new love.
Booty call.
And Alex turns to me, he goes, I want to go on a date, Mom. And I'm like, no. You're too young.
Not till you're 30.
And he goes, but Lila, like there's a little girl in his class named Lila. He's, but Lila's my friend. I want to go on a date with Lila. And I'm like, no, you're too young. And then Pincalo comes upstairs. I'm like, you want to tell your son that he's too young to go on a date? and Pincalo just kind of bops him on the head.
Kids.
That's just absolutely amazing, though. I mean, it's just, yeah. Although that, people were like a little concerned that social media and what they see on TV. Yes, what they see on TV drives it, but there's a whole lot of that. People have elder siblings. All somebody had to do was, if they lined you up in fire drills when you were little or something, and you had to hold hands with whoever was next to you, somebody would inevitably start with the, so and so and so and so sitting in a tree, KISS. It's
Well,
just
and even
the nature of
before
kids.
TV, it's like they see that their parents are together. They see like other couples. Like,
And there is that innocence factor to it.
yeah.
And some people never have a cootie stage.
Right.
And
Yeah.
pretty, before you know it, they're 15 years old, coming up to you and saying, "Hey, Dad, abortions are like a pretty routine procedure, right?"
Yeah.
What?
To which,
Why do you want to know?
to which I would then repeatedly, as I'm speaking, smack them across the head, going, "Why didn't you put a condom on it in the first place?"
Yeah.
It's just, why are you asking me this question? First, you need to know, why are you asking me? They could be doing a term paper on choice.
It could actually be for a friend.
And
Yes.
It's
The
always
modern-
for a friend. Always.
Well,
and
no,
in the
I mean
modern
it's
day and age, they could honestly respond, "I thought he was a she."
Mm.
Didn't want to assume the gender.
Yeah, it's a
Being
pity.
responsible.
Yeah, not gonna. All right, Skip. How was your day?
Oh, it was an interesting day. For one thing, our garden has gone absolutely ballistic and has been turning out cucumbers that, because they're growing against a chain link fence, they actually grow through the fence.
Oh God.
Mhm.
And this gives them the appearance of a penis. There's no other way to put this. What happens is they start to push through the fence when they're growing, and the fence constricts them, and they kind of get this mushroom head on the part that's poked through. And then, in order to pick the cucumber, you have to castrate the cucumber. And so that gave me a weird feeling. But at any rate, so penis cucumbers, that was interesting.
Frank,
Step
can you
on
please
farms.
don't go penis the fence, please?
Yes, it's pretty much. It's interesting.
Man,
And-
the crop of cocks is really coming in this year.
Yeah. Assassin of the Grey wants to know if the fence gave its consent.
Well,
exactly.
if it didn't, then it would be a field of rape.
But so that was an interesting thing. And then this afternoon, one of my actually the son of one of my neighbors, but he's about 16, came over to the house with a friend, and they wanted to talk politics. And he said, "I just want to," he's doing some survey work. What he's really doing is he's pushing for one of the candidates in our runoff election. But this is for a U.S. congressional district. This is big time. This is to replace Ron Wright, the U.S. congressman who died of COVID. And so his widow is running for the seat.
Oh.
And against a guy who spent 20 years in the Navy, was a commander in the Navy, a fighter pilot, just a mensch, a great guy. And he can't make any headway because Donald Trump endorsed the widow, because they know what the widow will be, a pliant vote who will do exactly what she's told to do.
Toe that party line, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And half the people in our district think that she's Ron Wright. You know, they see Wright on the ballot, and so they're accustomed to marking that name because he was Joe Barton's chief of staff and all this other stuff. So the years and years of history in the district, and that was the thing that I wanted to talk about. Prospero, was that when females, when the female partner of somebody who got elected runs, they have this perverse kind of advantage. It's not an incumbent's advantage exactly, but it's kind of like that, and it's completely unmerited. She has never been evaluated by the people of the district. She's like high school educated. I just think I want to protect the unborn because they told her to say that. Okay. And I'm pro Second Amendment and protect the unborn. I'll protect your American rights. She's that candidate, Whereas the Elsie, the guy who went to Annapolis, he went to the Naval Academy, he had a stellar career, commander in the Navy, all that stuff, and the airline pilot, post naval career, and just he's excelled at everything he's done. He's the type of person you want in Congress, and he can't get any traction against her. He's actually running fairly close because there are enough people in our district who have some political awareness to realize that Susie Wright, and who hilariously has the same name as a Texas murderess, who is who he's running against. So anyway, I just so these guys came by and I said, yeah, in fact, I think that's an interesting topic. I'm going to talk about it on my show tonight. And they kind of said, what show? And so I told them about Minions of the Zoo. In fact, as far as I know, I need to check chat. They might even be listening. I gave them all the information how to get on the listen to the show and whatnot. And I don't. I'm looking for some.
I don't see any new.
Yeah,
names.
I'm seeing any new names. So they may not, and they may listen to it after the fact.
Hi there, if you're lurking.
Yeah, if you're
listening
looking
from the future.
Caleb, thank you very much for coming by the house. It was good talking with you today, and I really truly hope that the voters in our district are smart enough to make a good decision about who's actually qualified, who is the type of person they want to represent them, and won't just automatically vote for a name that they know for somebody who might not be the best person for the position. Yeah. And that's kind of the thing I wanted to get out there. That got me going down kind of a spurg hole. And we talk about this later because you haven't finished saying hello to everybody yet, Prospero. And as usual, I've taken the ball and run with it. But and the spurg hole that sent me down was going through and looking at things like Lurleen Wallace. Remember George Wallace's widow? He was the governor of Alabama, and he was because of the Alabama law about consecutive terms, he had to have his wife get elected as governor and spend 15 months as governor. She got elected governor, and then she died. But since it broke up his terms, he was able to go back and be governor again of Alabama. This is George Corley Wallace, the Democrat. Yes, the Democrat.
I saw a Carol Baskin situation.
Who was famous for authoring the phrase segregation, now segregation in the future, segregation forever, whatever it was he said. he was absolutely the quintessential Dixiecrat. And so, but anyway, we could talk about that more, but I know you want to say hello to other people here at Prospero.
Hey, Sanguine.
Hello, how goes?
How was your day?
My day went fairly well. I went to sleep at some time early in the morning. Well, not that early in the morning. And woke up around 4. So, been putzing around, making dinner, which is coming along nicely. It's just going to be real simple. Chicken kebabs that I'm going to pull off the kebab, wrap up in a tortilla with some cheese because they're done up as chipotle raspberry kebabs.
Yum num.
So those should be absolutely delicious. And then just whip together a salad and simple vinaigrette.
Sounds tasty.
Yep.
Sounds tasty.
What kind of meat on the kebabs?
Chicken.
Oh, chicken. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I grabbed...
Yeah,
I hit up
I know.
the butcher on Wednesday, so yesterday, and grabbed a few
You hit
skewers.
the butcher?
Hit up the butcher.
I know.
And grabbed a few skewers that they make just to try them out, see how their blends are. 1 or 2 that I've had before, which I know are good, and the rest of them just, I haven't seen that before, or it's a weird combination like raspberry and chipotle, so decided to give it a go. And then some other nice cuts of meat. So should be a good week of dinner.
Sounds like it. Sounds like it. It's a pity that we don't have transporter technology.
Yep. And I
nightmare.
I did try the second Japanese curry that I mentioned to you guys last week, the kokomaru. It is not as hot as it says that it's supposed to be because I got the hot, which is topping out. Well, it's second from the top of their heat index. Not that spicy. It was fairly mild, but a nice flavor to it. So I'm going to continue my Japanese curry experiments as time goes on.
Excellent. BP, you were good.
Pinkalo got himself a dehydrator
Ooh.
last week and has started making his own jerky.
Very nice.
Oh, that's so great.
Neat. A friend of ours made jerky in his smoker, but its dehydrators are
What kind
pretty
of
excellent.
meat are you going to use to make the
So
jerky?
Pinkalo's been using briskets,
Yeah.
Okay.
and he's just been slicing them
Mhm.
into different he's made tree bark jerky style. He's made thin strips. He's made and he actually made it some pork jerky the other day, which turned out really, really nice.
If you can get your hands on a moose jerky, you'll thank me later.
Yeah.
It's so
Or deer or others of their elk.
homemade jerky
Nice.
is so much better than store-bought though.
Oh, yeah.
So much, because it's so much less salty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can control the salt, which
Yeah.
and that in and of itself is a trick.
Yeah.
And you can avoid sweetening it as much if you're trying to make like a teriyaki jerky or something like that. It doesn't have to be this, man, I just started trying to suck down honey coated in sugar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't usually like teriyaki jerky because of that. And that
It's always too sweet.
I know our friend was saying that he was working on his spice blend because he was like, let me know, because he said I've tasted it too much. You don't know after a point.
And those little seasoning packets that come in the store-bought jerky are really sour. I don't get it.
They are. Those little silica gel packets.
Yeah.
They're really awful. You should always avoid putting those in your coffee.
Kids, do not eat the silica packets. It's a joke.
Dry and tasteless, kind of like Kamala Harris.
Ugh.
Ugh.
Kids, don't eat it. If you're a college student and you're thinking about it, I think Dr. Darwin has a appointment for you.
Stick with the Tide Pods.
Nom.
Or flossing your sinuses with condoms or whatever the hell else. That was the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
People
You had
were
to be there.
they were literally like snorkeling condoms so that they would be sticking out of their mouths and out of their nostrils at the same time, Jenna. Because look what I can do. I mean, we used to do that with smoke,
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah,
then
it's French curl.
yeah. And then they decide, let's try it with a condom because there's no damage you can do to your sinuses that way.
Solid matter is just
These
the same as
people
gaseous
are
matter.
supposed
Or
to
the
be our
tissues of-
future.
Well, it's
yeah, well, they
more-
weren't the ones that are going to be the movers and the shakers in the future. I really don't think
Live
they
in
were the
my
ones.
house.
They were, yeah, they weren't the ones doing this.
And it's more so that it's just because we no longer have freak shows and those people had to go somewhere.
Well, you know, no, at the Kavanaugh hearings, you never heard anybody accuse him of flossing his sinuses with a condom. I never thought I'd say that sentence.
Yeah, well, I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah, no, that's about right.
You know, except
It's
it
sick
was,
and weird and wrong and horrifying.
yeah, it was just,
And potentially dangerous because if it gets caught above the let's see, that's the hard palate. Gets caught above the hard palate, it could get wedged back there, and then in trying to clear it, you could slam it down into the laryngeal opening and end up suffocating yourself. Yeah.
well,
Yes.
that could. Not going to say what I'm thinking. Now,
Yeah.
Talik,
Yeah. No.
Talik is saying you're expecting human stupidity to have a cap. Yeah, I do think it actually has a cap. It's the bottom, I'm not certain.
Well played, Tally.
Yeah, I did, but oh yeah, it's a dunce cap. I get
See,
it.
But
The thing
is-
is
Oh, go ahead.
that lungs and condoms don't mix very well.
Oh yeah, I can't imagine why they would.
I'm just picturing a condom covering the laryngeal area and the person trying to breathe and it starting to swell like a balloon.
Quick, is anyone a circus clown? Please make a pool.
Actually, that would be the whole problem, is that it would flex and
Mhm.
it would not permit, air. You could try and vary the pressure in your lungs and it would just push out or pull back and it wouldn't move. That's the whole problem with it. It's just elastic.
It'd be a pretty horrible death.
Oh God.
Yeah,
But a worthwhile one.
yeah. It as an example.
Yeah.
I mean, the only time, boys and girls, that you should ever consider a condom having anything to do with the lungs is if you know someone that has a gaping lung perforated wound that you need to seal.
Get some urethane foam.
And even
Yeah, but
then, leave it up
you
to
know,
Oh,
someone
my
else
mind
to
went the
scale.
completely wrong way with that one, Prospero. Jesus.
Yeah, but beyond that,
Goodness.
That's some
condoms
Rob
and
Zombie
lungs
shit,
should not be
Yeah.
discussed
Functional.
in the same sentence.
Yeah, because it's
All
perfectly natural to do a little bit of that self-exploration with the human body in a non-sexual way, just like, figuring out how things work and, your breathing patterns. But, like, do it the right way, like you said, with some smoke or something. Not solid matter that's going to...
Preferably
Yeah,
not
this-
liquid either.
Also, going back to what you said just before that functional. So you're saying if the current accompaniment of holes doesn't work, cut a new one?
whatever you need.
Like I said, that's some Rob Zombie shit, right?
Yeah.
I think I saw that on OnlyFans once.
Oh God.
God, you people. Just,
Yeah, give it to me harder, baby.
Okay.
I'm just
Have
thinking
you finished saying hello to everybody?
Dennis Leary's
I think so.
McDonald's bit. Yeah, yes, I was just getting ready to actually pivot back to the notion of widows.
Well, and just generally in how we pick our candidates and what's happening, because you're really starting to see the effects of Biden's inability to govern. And the governance by the silent committee that is in back of him, which is basically what's happening, is that there's a group of people making decisions, of which Jill Biden, unfortunately, is a significant part. And these things are being presented to Joe Biden, and in the areas where he can have some input that's worthwhile. I guess they get whatever he has to say, but he's basically pliant and will sign what's put in front of him. He actually is much more cognitively aware than a lot of people give him credit for. The problem is he's not capable of actively managing the presidency, and the presidency needs it needs both a manager and it needs an administrator. And those are two different types of tasks. Biden is not up to either one. He literally cannot do either of those tasks. So all he can do is react to what people put in front of him.
According to Jack Posobiec, there were some labor leaders commenting on the meeting, the G7 meeting going on.
Yeah.
As to Biden's ability to follow along being non-existent.
Oh wow.
Well, did you hear his remarks at that meeting? Did you listen to him?
No, I didn't. But no, go ahead.
I'm agreeing with you. He sounded incoherent.
Yeah, they said he has cards, and he can't seem to even keep track of what's going on with his cards.
He couldn't pronounce the words, Prospero.
Yeah, that's his stammer, don't you know?
No, that's not a stammer. That is incomplete neural firing to form words.
I heard Pancalo. There was he was scrolling through TikTok, and there was a clip of Joe Biden. At first, he's like, "Sometimes I forget I'm president."
Oh, I actually
And
wanted
then-
to talk about that.
And then he goes, President-elect Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Could I talk about that for a segue, just for a second?
Oh, it's part and parcel of what we're talking about right now. Yeah. Sure.
The fact that he was at just the way he treated our military, and then went at ease. I forget I'm president at that time. And if you notice, a lot of them didn't sit down. They didn't at ease. They stayed in. It wasn't full formal, but it was still
Like parade rest.
Yes, parade rest. And so I haven't seen a lot, but I do know James saw that, and he went ballistic, like the computer screen could hear him, about the fact, just the lack of respect he has for soldiers, the fact that he, I have nothing against transgender people, but he mentioned Transgender Day or whatever it was. Pride Day, and something on the 30th, but he didn't say anything about D-Day.
Yeah, 77-year anniversary of D-Day, and this asshole cannot bring himself to commemorate the men who died to fight fascism. That's actual anti-fascism, not this bullshit of children LARPing in the streets setting businesses on fire. That's not anti-fascism. Anti-fascism was killing Nazis.
The men
Also,
sorry. The men who died also, may I add, so that eventually, along down the line, people could have things like pride.
Yeah.
You dumbasses.
He also didn't say anything on Memorial Day.
I know, it's disgusting.
The Lincoln Project said it all for D-Day. That's fine. They had to do their little ad telling us that there's a continuity between the guys who stormed the beaches at Normandy and the black-clad lunatics in the street today. Yeah, that was their idea.
Was that their message from that thing that they put out?
Did you watch the video?
I did. I watched it twice to make sure, and I thought, okay, are they dissing Antifa, or are they saying no? Antifa is the modern incarnation of the guys who died at D-Day.
That's what they were saying, because they flashed a picture of Trump up when they were talking about fascism today.
Mm-hmm.
Because they really know how to define fascism.
Okay, so it was anti-Trump, but conceivably, and I guess, I guess by implication you would have to say that
to even bring D-Day into it.
Yeah, it's obscenity. I agree.
Because none of them called themselves anti-fascist when they were invading the beaches of Normandy.
No, not one of those men. All those guys in those boats, the boats that were being hit by machine gun fire, that they put down the gate and rushed into, never called themselves Antifa. Never called themselves anti-fascists.
No. That was it. I mean, fascism was the method of governance in Spain, Italy, and Germany. Mm-hmm. It was not what was being fought. What was being fought was the German war machine.
Slightly different flavor of it in Spain.
Very, very different, and a very different flavor in Germany. Hitlerism, Nazism, whatever you want to call it, isn't the same. I mean, fascism manifests in different ways. You know, you don't look
Italian was the purest fascism, don't you think?
Yes. And probably the most effective one.
My history teacher.
As effective as you can govern Italians.
Right.
The land of a million political parties.
Yeah.
My history teacher, because I took an American history course in grade 11. And my history teacher, because he covered World War II as well in Canadian history, but we did 2 units I did 2 World War II units, one in grade 10 for Canadian history and one in grade 11 for American history. And in the American history one, he kind of delved more deeply into the different flavors of fascism, I guess you might say.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually put up Mussolini's rules to show us about, Mussolini is never late. The trains
the brown shirt declaration.
The trains must always run on time, right? Yeah. All that stuff. And it was just, and the more I think about what he taught us and what he showed us, the more I actually think he would probably be fired today. Because he also showed us a documentary called Where Hitler Went Wrong, but it didn't come to us from the flavor of Hitler was right? It came to us of the flavor of if Hitler hadn't gotten so paranoid and made so many mistakes, we would all be fucked. And we should be very, very thankful that Hitler was Hitler basically second-guessed his allies and fragmented himself, basically fragmented his army because he was
bifurcated his army between the eastern and western fronts.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's a good argument to be made that Hitler's
I can be like Napoleon, and he was.
Psychoses helped save the West.
But the way that documentary was titled, if he had shown it today, it doesn't matter the context. They'd be like, "What do you mean where Hitler went wrong?"
Can you imagine if donuts Durnitz and Jodl had been running the show Prospero.
Jesus Christ.
Or
We would be speaking German, and I shit you not.
Yep.
Yeah.
as bloody of a meat grinder as
Well,
D-Day was,
Harry
Can
would be
you
speaking
imagine-
Japanese.
can you imagine if instead of Hitler completely cutting off Rommel's requests for tanks, Rommel's requests for fortifications as much as he did,
Mm-hmm.
how horrendous D-Day would have been? Because
Oh, yeah.
most of German high command was going, yeah, they're going to land here. Rommel was going, motherfuckers, Normandy speeches. It's going to be in Normandy. They're going to come there. And he started fortifying the area. That's part of the reason
Yeah,
why it wasn't
who was
fun.
Hitler's chief of staff in World War II? Sanguine. Don't look it up if you don't know. It was Hitler's chief of staff who was convinced that it was Pas de Calais,
Yeah.
and that is really held a lot of sway.
And also,
Yeah,
the
I'm
fact,
trying to remember the dude's name.
It
And
starts
also-
with an M, and I can't remember the name.
and also the fact that we fed them every bit of supporting, in quotes, evidence,
Yeah.
fake evidence that was the case.
Yeah.
We did everything we could to keep their eyes focused on the Pas de Calais. Look, Rommel wanted reinforcements, but Rommel's job was to enforce the Atlantic Wall, the entire Atlantic Wall,
Yeah.
not just Normandy. Calais was already easily defendable by comparison to other areas. There were some things that really turned in our favor. But as it is, I mean, every time I say that there were things that turned to our favor, I think of the absolute horror story that Normandy was. Just, I don't know if you've ever seen the overhead shot of the beach after, when they do the memorial of how many people died, where they take the forms and they scrape rakes through them and they just leave imprints of dead bodies all over the beaches. It's and those aren't just representing one body.
No.
No.
I mean, the count at Utah and Omaha is terrifying.
Yep.
Golden Sword, I'm sorry. I hope the Britisher isn't listening and going to get upset, but I'm afraid to say that
They
by and
got,
large,
they
they
got
walked-
torn up at Juneau.
yeah,
The British got torn up at Juneau.
Yeah,
so
that's
that was their Omaha.
That's where-
why
yeah,
we
that's-
had to come in and help them.
yeah. And the but Golden Sword were pretty.
That was a
They
walk.
walk on.
Yeah.
It was.
Sorry, Canada.
Yeah.
Of course, Canada had what was the unsuccessful dress rehearsal that thank you. Canadians got their asses
horrifying.
they got their asses handed to them. They went in unprepared, didn't
And
know
Ortona as
what
well.
they didn't know what the beaches, what the sand was like on the beaches. Their tanks were unable to get a grip on the sand because they didn't have the right kind of treads. There was so much wrong, and the Canadians just got wrecked in that whole thing. And they went to school on that. They for Normandy, Dieppe was actually it was so critical to the success at Normandy that in a way it was really kind of a heroic failure.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are a number of things that work out that way. Is that there, but for that glorious
Foreman.
No, not Bormann. Bormann was a hack.
He was the private secretary.
Yeah, he was private secretary. Bormann was like an adjutant type of guy. I'm talking about the general. Hitler's general. It wasn't Schmunt. It wasn't Bormann. Bormann was a toady. What was
Because I remember Bormann was the one who was handling what would reach Hitler and what wouldn't. So he hid a lot of shit from Hitler and hid a lot of shit going from Hitler to other people as his power play, because that was all the power he had.
Blomberg, that was his name.
Okay.
Blomberg. I just remembered. It was Werner von Blomberg. And also, Jodl was he was like an OKW advisor, but he didn't really drive many of Hitler's decisions. He just kind of did what Hitler told him to do. He was the one guy at Nuremberg who probably shouldn't have been hanged. But
Yeah, that's oops.
You'll lose. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You're on the losing side. You're going to get killed. And
And
he was probably one of the ones who went to the hangman with the most equanimity. Soldiers die when they lose. I'm a soldier. Let's get this on. Get this going.
We were shown Nuremberg as well, the movie.
Mhm.
Yep.
And before we were shown it, my teacher was like, "Okay, you're gonna hate humanity after you watch this movie. I'm just warning you right now." And when I think it's either, I can't remember if it's Hess or Goering that kills himself in the movie with the cyanide.
Yep, that's Goering.
We all in the class, we were all
Smuggled in hair cream.
in the whole class, like, motherfucker, just like at the top of our lungs, just.
Yeah.
And the teacher's like, I know. I know.
Yeah.
The nice thing was that the most evil one of that lot, Rosenberg,
Yeah.
the architect of the Holocaust,
Yeah.
had the worst time of it at the end of the rope. It took him 20 minutes to strangle, and
good.
he danced around like a child at the end of the rope, squealing.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get my violin.
Well, the guy who conducted the hangings at Nuremberg was a ne'er-do-well in the U.S. Army. He was a shit soldier, and he just got assigned the duty almost randomly. Didn't know anything about hanging people, so the ropes were too stretchy. They hadn't been boiled. The knots were misplaced. Some of them got the luck of they were just haphazardly placed. Some of them
on the left, some on the right. Some in between.
No, none of them under the chin like Pierpont did, and which gives you just almost immediate death, just almost instantaneous unconsciousness. And so what he was doing was hanging people with short drops and a stretchy rope.
Sorry. They may have that may have been
That's a recipe for strangulation.
Mm-hmm.
Now, old guys like Jodl, his neck broke right away, and he just died. He died like you're supposed to. Rosenberg, a much younger man, he danced.
Good.
small measure.
Firing at his feet as he danced. 'Cause that would make it
No.
better.
No, they weren't given the dignity of a firing squad, my friend.
He probably
Oh, no,
was
I wasn't
sitting. He
talking
was
about
probably
him.
sitting there strangling, saying, "When is this going to stop?" And all of a sudden, this demon-looking thing came up and said, "Stop."
Mm-hmm.
It's just
Yeah.
barely begun.
Yeah, that
I
would
didn't
be.
mean a firing squad though. I meant just
Oh
be
yeah,
fire.
dance, motherfucker, dance. Yeah.
yeah.
The overall though, about Nuremberg is an incredible act of justice prevailing over vengeance,
Yeah.
because it would be entirely understandable even for a civilized society like we were in the 1940s to go absolutely ballistic, kill them to the
Like-
last man.
like the American Army did at Auschwitz. When
Well,
we liberated Auschwitz,
like, yeah, I mean, why would you?
they actually gave the prisoners rifles to
Go
shoot
to it.
guards they hated.
Go to it, my friends.
That's
I love
exactly what they
that.
said. And you know, what happened was the Army heard about this and they were going to start court-martialing these guys. Patton came in and said, no, that stops now.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
He said, you will not touch these men.
and of course, you know, when Eisenhower and Patton got the chance to go witness what had been going on at the camps,
No, Patton was really
Patton left. He didn't complete the tour.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's Eisenhower's words that kind of live inside the Holocaust Museum about it being incumbent upon him to bear witness.
Yeah, but Patton took action.
And when you, but when a man like Patton has to leave,
Mhm. Yeah.
like that's, you know,
Well, you know, they're just some things that beggar belief.
yeah.
Yes.
And Eisenhower knew that because he was getting the communiques of what the hell they were finding and had to, as he said, bear witness and write it down
Yep.
so that history wouldn't dismiss it as some kind of false story. What I found kind of disgusting is it really only took about 40 years. It was really in the 80s when I first started hearing the first really strong Holocaust denial
Mm-hmm.
bullshit. Only took about 40 years.
Yep.
Before edgy boys and illiterates and deliberate agent provocateurs.
What about this belief is choice lot who believe you can rewrite history because history is just a social construct?
That's nice. I hope they get the unicorn they want for Christmas. They're
Yeah, they want to teach that to children.
mhm.
They
No.
want new. They already have the new history books
Oh, I know. I understand.
showing how the slaves invented the telephone and so forth.
And you know what's sad for me is that
Maybe the game telephone, but not the actual telephone.
No, the
My
actual telephone
my
series. I'm saying.
kids will never get to have the experience that I got to have because by the time they get to be teenagers, these people will have passed.
Mhm.
But I got to go to one of the local universities on the I can't remember which day of memorial it was, but there was a day of speakers. They were survivors from these camps.
Mhm.
There was a speaker from so that survived Auschwitz. There was a speaker that went to I think it was one of the other. There were 3 different German camp survivors, and then there was a Russian Jew who managed to. First of all, she was a woman, and second of all, she managed to basically hide herself in a unit in the army
Mhm.
and escape that way from one of the gulags. And it was just a day of like you just listened to these people talk, and it's just really sad because by the time my kids grow up, there won't be any living survivors to say no, this shit actually happened.
Yeah.
That's why we have to tell them.
Yeah,
People ask me why I'm so hard over for Israel. Because that must never happen again. That must never happen again, if you look at the history of Judaism, and I'm not a Jew, but I have a lot of Jewish friends, and I have known Holocaust survivors, and I mean people with tattoos on their arms.
Yeah.
I have had the benefit of getting firsthand information what that was like. Plus, as a student of history, I don't have the chop that Prospero has, but I read a lot of history. I've read a lot of history, a ton of history.
Probably read more than I have.
And what you see is the Jews getting kicked around country after country, region after region, continent after continent, religion after religion. The people who get kicked out, rejected, restricted from parts of life are the Jews. It happens again and again and again. And I mean, it's not a stretch. It's not even a bit of an exaggeration to say that that's been going on for more than 1,000 years. It's been going on for thousands of years. This treatment has been going on. That is why the Jews must have a homeland. It is as far as I'm concerned, it is a moral imperative that they have a place where they can be safe, where they can go and not be kicked out of, a homeland. That and when I hear these Palestinian assholes get online or in public or on YouTube, whatever, and say that the Jews are running an apartheid society, Israel is the best place in the Middle East to be an Arab. They have Arabs in the Knesset. The Arabs just this last week moved to form a coalition government with the party who won the election. They have rights and privileges, full rights, full privileges that any Israeli citizen can have. And they're not even Jewish. They're Muslims. 20% of that country, 1/5 of the country is Muslim, or mostly Muslim, a few Christian. And it just, when I hear these BDS assholes get online or publicly talk about the need to repress Israel and to keep them down, it makes me crazy. I see World War II all over again. I see the concentration camps all over again. My eyes glaze over and I get on Twitter and I have to, just explain to everybody what happened and what's really going on and why they are full of shit and why the Jews need a homeland.
The majority of those Muslims in Israel are the closest you'll get to Reformation in their religion.
Yeah, no kidding.
In the world. Like, that's even more so
true.
Than here.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
There's no hijab requirement in Israel. No,
they look at the West, they say, this is great. This is how people should live. And they welcome it. They go, okay, Allah is still, blah, blah, blah. But hey, modern amenities, modern philosophy, modern politicking,
modern treatment of women.
Modern treatment of women, of animals, of just
it's almost like a weird Protestant sect where they use different names and have a kind of corrupted Bible. I mean, it really truly is that Islam in Israel is like Islam no place else. No kidding.
Yeah,
and it's
not even Canada or the United States. No.
It's much more like it's similar to a little bit to the Druze, but not so much Sufi. If you take the Sufi out of the Druze kind of Islam, it's kind of like that, and in the way that they practice. Now they will say, no, we're good Sunnah, but that's not true. The other thing you notice is there's no crazy Shia assholes in Israel.
No.
Gee, I can't imagine why.
Yeah, imagine my shock.
Oh, yeah, of course, because they're not afraid. The Israeli government is not afraid to say, no, you are the wrong kind of person. We don't want to have anything to do with you. come back when you
There's just so much
evolved.
hatred. There's so
Yeah.
much hatred for the Jews among the Shia, and that's all coming from Iran. You know,
Well,
the only Iranian Shia in Israel are the ones who are slipping through the tunnels that they dig under the Golan Heights to try and slip Hezbollah bombs and rockets in there.
ah, oh, speaking of strange things, just
Yes, please go ahead. Feel free to pivot because I can get to.
well, no, just this is because it's always, I think, very important to take a little howdy do. I'm having a hard time finding what it is I'm trying to find because I've opened the tab. I don't know how many times.
While you're doing that, I'm just going to agree with Tally. Also, how Ilhan is being protected from all criticism and disagreement. No kidding, boy, you got the handle on that. She is that's a deranged creature.
Well, if you do criticize her, you're either sexist or racist or
against women who marry their brothers.
Blah, 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 blah.
You're
All these
you're against
buzzwords that are
incest.
completely meaningless today.
Yeah,
You're incest phobic.
yeah. I'm incestophobic.
I'm sorry, I don't like when someone has flippers.
I just want to go up to her and say, "You are a sick brotherfucker."
People did something.
She's exactly the type of person I was talking about that could never even cross the border into Israel.
Yep.
Because they'd be like, "Whoa, what? No, not you. You're the wrong type of person." And it's not. It's purely ideological. It has nothing to do with skin color, where you're from, whatever. You have the wrong line of thinking. And given the condition of Israel, that's something that they can ill afford to let through.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. If you take away the West Bank, that skinny part of Israel is
they're
is 9 miles wide. Now, let me explain something militarily. That's not defensible.
No.
You cannot defend against any force, any kind of force, any kind of force at all, especially a coastal strip. In other words, where one side is water. You cannot defend that, okay, and hold that against anybody. A large enough determined force can come in and just overwhelm you, and they can not only overwhelm you, they can be on you so quickly because they can position themselves so close to you that if Israel gave up the West Bank, they would make their country undefendable.
Yeah.
It would be. They would have to have their finger on the nuclear button at all times. Just say anything happens at all, we're going to nuke your country.
Yeah, supply lines would be impossible.
Yeah.
You'd be fracturing the settlements from north and south completely.
Oh yeah, no kidding.
Divide and conquer.
Yeah. There's a lot wrong. We're not going to solve the West Bank problem. People don't realize the West Bank problem is a much bigger problem than the Gaza problem. The Gaza problem has a solution. All Israel has to do is cut off contact with Gaza. Problem sorted and done.
Holy shit.
alrighty.
Iran literally pays for transfer.
Charlotte Clymer, BP,
Hmm.
posted this on Twitter.
Okay.
Iran literally pays for trans-affirming medical care with state funds, so not exactly a great way to make your point there, sweetie.
Did she actually say that?
Yeah, as you can
Holy
see,
shit.
Ranting Monkey
Oh, I
was
see.
not the only individual to
Point out the flaw.
point out the flaws. It's a pretty impressive thing that our Charlotte did. This person who should know better, but
Who are they?
Charlotte Clymer is a trans activist
Oh, okay.
who served in the United States military.
By the way, God is transgender. I just saw that go by.
Yeah, and is
certifiably crazy.
oh yeah, and you're still looking at my stupid screen. Sorry about that. I was trying to see if I could find it to see what the ratio was, but I couldn't. So you were entertained about the way I do my Twitter searches. The I swear to God, when your choice is getting your tallywhacker removed involuntarily or being a crash test dummy for gravity.
The Islamic space program.
It's a space.
Yes,
program.
the Islamic space program. You're correct. That's I mean, in the world of bad takes, that's one of the worst I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the kinds of people that have been running around today calling the actions of the very few members of that House of Representatives who called out Ilhan Omar on her grossly anti-Semitic remarks, Islamophobes. Rashida Tlaib is projecting all over the place. You know that you're just so Islamophobic. You just attack women of color in Congress. You know,
For fuck's sakes.
And then she. I mean, people have literally had the nerve to say the pushback against Marjorie Taylor Greene wasn't like that. I mean, what news outlets were they looking at? How far can you get your head up your ass?
But
I mean, I'm figuring these people are pretty much about ready to have their own head emerge out of their mouths.
They're flossing their sinuses with
with their own head. Yeah, and a condom's more valuable than what's inside their head.
Was that a burp or a fart? Yes.
Condoms at least have a use.
Yeah, honestly, the type of person that we used to say required a craniorectal specialist. The unreal.
I'm gonna steal something from Stephen Crowder, and say these people need a soft-boiled egg helmet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do. They really do. I am surprised more of them aren't just like walking off bridges. Not because of suicidal ideation.
Just because they're
stupid. Because they're stupid. I
Terry
want to go
makes a
over
good
there,
point.
Thud. Yes?
He said, "Where's her flight then to Iran?"
Mm-hmm.
I think if you love it so much, go ahead, go there.
Yep.
I wish I knew where I saw it. There was someone who was commenting on a person saying that to them. And they were trying to act like, yeah, it's a valid option and I'm willing to do it. And I'm going, until I see you
Then
board
go.
a plane.
Yeah, they're not going to go. They're not going to go. It's like all the people that are talking about how horrible things are in Israel. And it's like, oh, go to Gaza.
Mm-hmm. And
You know what we should make everybody watch Not Without My Daughter. Or read.
And speaking of stupid things that Democrats have said recently, there was also the Kamala trying to have a brag about the number of jobs that have been created in the first 4 months of the administration.
2
You
million.
don't create a job if it's a job that was there before and they just can hire now because they made sure Trump wasn't in office so the world can open up again.
Yeah, I phrased this two different ways. One in a response to Prospero.
Yeah, don't, please.
One in a response directly to Harris, which was effectively, you don't get to take credit for saving someone. So the one to Harris was, you don't get to take credit for saving someone from drowning when all you do is remove your boot from the back of their head.
I like that.
By the way, she deleted that tweet, Prospero. I looked it up.
Of course she did.
Charlotte did?
Screenshot
Yeah,
it?
Charlotte Clymer.
Yeah, that's why.
This tweet was deleted by the tweet author. Learn more.
That's why I. That's why I
took a
screenshot.
screenshot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
'Cause
that's why you always do that.
That's going to live forever in my
She
mind.
says that Iran literally pays for trans-affirming medical care with state funds. So, yeah.
Yeah, they literally do, but it's not for the kind of affirmation you think it is, my dear. That's her problem. It's just to affirm that they don't have any gay people.
Yep.
IP, is that your kid or my kid on the monitor?
Oh no, she hasn't deleted that.
No, it's not. I just found it. I'm sorry, I was in the wrong thread. I just was about to correct myself. It's not ratioed too badly. It's got 157 retweets, 616 quote tweets, which is kind of a lot, and 2,200 likes. So for her, that's actually a bad ratio.
Yeah, I've been trying.
You got to follow this stuff pretty closely to know what.
I've been wanting to see what the response is. I never said Iran was a safe place for LGBTQ people. My point is, I don't need a passport to be murdered for being trans. There are too many places in the country where I'm in far more danger than I would be in Iran. Because
Bullshit.
44 trans people were murdered last year. Which out of the general population
And
of people getting murdered, and where were they? And I mean, all kinds of extenuating circumstances go into
how many of them were murdered by an abusive partner?
I remember the last time that I actually looked into the trans people are being murdered at a disproportionate rate. So I actually went, okay, I wonder how many, and can I find information on a number of them? And like half the ones that I was able to find information on, it was insert stereotypic name, was shot to death in a drug deal gone bad.
Yeah. That's what I meant by the
deal, or their partner killed them, because unfortunately in the LGBT community, there's a lot more domestic violence.
Yeah, the way that it works is on the lesbian side of the LGBT, they have the absolute highest rate of domestic violence.
Yeah.
They just absolutely batter the shit out of everyone else and each other, apparently. And then it's gay men, I think, have the lowest rate of domestic violence.
Yeah.
It's because the lesbians are so well adjusted.
And one other narrative they like to play on is and I've got a little bit of a spicy take on this, is the discovery type of crime of passion. I'm not advocating for violence. You shouldn't be violent, but I think that trying to get with somebody under such serious false pretenses is rape.
Oh, you mean like
is a form of rape. They present as female, but genetically, biologically, they're fully functional males. They get to that point in a relationship, and then the guy kind of freaks out and acts violently, whatever the
surprise
result is.
penis.
Yes, and I believe that is rape, and that should be considered just along every other brand of rape, and should be derided and ridiculed.
Well, it's a mind fuck, but I wouldn't necessarily call it rape.
To me,
mind rape.
I think it's. I see, because I always hear people, oh, you shouldn't have to disclose that you're transgender. Yes, you should. Yes, you should. And along the same lines, and I've gotten into discussions with disabled people about this, because I've had discussions with disabled people who are, lesbians, and we're saying,
being a lesbian isn't a disability, blind press.
They were also blind, Sanguine. But they were talking about how trans people shouldn't have to disclose, and I said, well, think about it like this: should you have to disclose to people that you're blind before you date them? And they're like, well, well, why should you? And I said, well, if you're looking for a long-term relationship, like it or not, if your partner is sighted, that's a commitment. Like, I'm sorry, we like to think that we're like all independent and we can do everything on our own and whatever, but we can't, and anyone that we want to be with is going to want to help us.
And suddenly
Right.
you're trying to press the red button, not the green button. And you're going, shit.
BP, I have an answer for this.
Mm.
Instead of mentioning it on the first date or the blind date, not. I didn't. I fell right into that.
You stole your own punchline.
I think
You didn't see it coming at all?
I was absolutely blindsided.
But
Nice.
I didn't see that one coming.
don't forget to tip your waitresses.
And we've been your minions, and this has been your zoo.
I
Well,
think Prospero is going to go off herself after these jokes.
Which, truth be told, we have been your minions, and this has been your zoo. So, see, there you go. I am going to be wrapping it up a little bit early tonight. So, BP, if you want to ride it out to the end of the rope.
Actually, I was literally just about to say I gotta go. Pink Hollow even stuck his head in because he passed out in his chair. And he just stuck his head in and was like, come on to bed, honey. So, but I'm gonna head out. But I am gonna be streaming tomorrow at noon for the coffee stream. And also, tomorrow on Twitch at 11 p.m. Eastern. And I will be... actually, I will be getting back to you guys about Star Trek. Pink Hollow. No, he should be back in time. So we'll do Star Trek on Saturday. And I told Functional this yesterday, Skep.
Okay.
I know that we did Star Trek episodes that got us, either sad or angry or freaked out last week. I thought this week we would do moments or episodes or in moments in movies that just made us laugh.
Ha!
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 Alexander, that is enough, please. The higher...
Shut up,
A
Wesley.
little clean on.
So I figured we would do, episodes / moments in the movies that just got us a good laugh.
Sounds good.
Whether intentional or not.
Or exactly.
Yeah.
Because, man, there's some stinkers of lines, I know, in the original show.
Mm-hmm.
That it's almost like, wow. Wow.
And some of the stuff from TOS is not aged well and
No.
is peculiarly trite now.
Yeah.
So,
Like the first season?
I'll be digging out some stuff from there.
The third season's still the worst, Sanguine.
Yeah.
The first is miserable, and you know it, though.
It is not.
No, the first season is good.
Yeah,
and
the
the
first
second
season
is good. And then,
first season is actually the best season. The second season is the second best season. The third season, frankly,
the third
it fell
season
off.
has Turnabout Intruder in it, so
See, the first season got better after Tasha, but...
No,
I said
TOS,
original
not TNG.
series.
TOS.
TOS. I was saying
I hated
TNG.
Tasha.
I was saying TNG, and first season TNG was miserable.
Okay, we were talking about TOS.
Yeah, my mind blanked.
All right, I'm gonna run away.
Run.
But thank you for having me,
Run
and
away, run away.
I will talk to you all later.
All right, we'll see you later, Blind
Night,
Press.
night,
Good to see you.
BP.
Good night.
Good night, hon.
Well,
Yeah, I got the word from wife that I'm taking the kids to their gardening thing that they're doing tomorrow. Their activity. So I've got early morning driving duties.
yeah, and I've got
So I appreciate you calling it in 15 minutes because I just want to get to bed at this point.
yeah, I've
Skep.
an early morning too.
That's okay.
Yes, Jenna.
Will you send me a photo of your staircase flowers? Vegetable
Oh,
bed.
the tiered garden, sure.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it's glorious. It's full of blooms. It's just absolutely cascading with flowers. I'll post that. Yeah, I absolutely will.
Yes, please, because
I will.
that is cheering.
No,
It's a
great
happy
fun.
thing.
Yeah.
It has been a it's been a labor of love. That's for sure. The whole garden thing has just completely exploded. In fact, I'm gonna actually pull up a funny picture that will make you guys laugh. Let's see.
I'm expecting you to write a book called Metastatic Gardening.
Zen and the art of gardening. Yeah, there we go. All right, and let's see. Let's go into and do this way with this, and we do this.
We're just going to listen.
I know. You can listen to the way my mind works. All right, and now I'm gonna go back here and I share the screen. Share the screen. Share the screen. Share screen.
Talk to myself.
And we go to Chrome. That's that Chrome tab? No, it's Window.
Yeah, my
And
Chrome.
there it is. All right, there it is. All right.
Thank you for joining
All
us
right.
here with the Skep Ross Hour.
If you could throw that up, Prospero.
Happy little accident.
Oh,
The penis cucumber.
Nice.
great.
Penis cumber.
That's absolutely great. It reminds me of some gourds that
Yeah,
you know,
gourds do that kind of stuff too.
form some very strange.
Well, the gourds,
So many
that grow on
gourds.
top of each other, and they have weird indentations. You get some weird little scallops in them.
Mm-hmm. They look like scowling old folks, and
Right, exactly.
you know, other people see the face of Jesus in food that grows in their garden, and Skep's got dicks growing through his face. There's something wrong with your penis there, boy. It's green.
But as you can see from the that's a regular sized ballpoint pen. That is a good sized cucumber,
Yes, sir.
and that was
Color, straight.
that's there for the shape. We had some that were almost twice that size.
I believe
Oh,
it.
wow.
They're just huge,
Like loofah.
Yeah, because we've gotten a lot of water this year.
Yeah, that's which is good because it means that there'll be
The cukes come in. Yeah, we're getting the potatoes are going ballistic. We're about to pick the potatoes, and we may even get another harvest of potatoes out. We're gonna have to water them like crazy with Texas sunshine. We won't get the cool nights that we've been getting. That's why that's what makes potatoes really grow. That's why they grow great in Idaho. It's because they have cool nights.
I thought they grew underground.
Yeah, they grow underground, but they need
The leaves come
the
above.
leaves, the plant part is above the surface, and
Okay.
that's the part that needs cool nights. And we've had those with a lot of water, so our potatoes are looking amazing. We finally got potatoes right. We've got more beans. My hands are sore from shelling beans and snap peas,
I bet.
and you just get tired of it. But they're delicious. They're amazing. And the corn is as tall as I am.
Oh wow.
Nice.
Corn is as high as an elephant's eye, and that's a quote from Oklahoma. Anyway, it's been
You
a
think
labor
Texas
of
would come up
love.
with some other way of phrasing that?
Yeah, I'm really
It's as
hoping
high
that
as a giraffe's butthole.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was
no.
about to say, I'm really hoping it's the eye that you don't mind if it
Oh,
starts
shut
winking
up.
at you.
Yeah, and then the tomatoes. We are awash in tomatoes. I mean, we really are putting out food that could support our little family, no problem, indefinitely.
Mm-hmm.
The interesting thing is we've got a bunch of tomato plants we didn't plant. What they were was last year we threw out some of the tomatoes. They were rotting on the vine. You know,
You got
picked them too late,
volunteers.
whatever. And we've got volunteer tomato plants. We've got tomatoes coming off of those plants.
Nice.
So we actually grew those from seed. Think about that. And so you know, we've got a really good situation. We've got a decent number of bees still, so you know, pollination is really good because we're a little bit short on other arthropods. So this part of Texas is very dependent on bees for pollination. But we've got plenty of bees, and we got snakes in the gardens. And you know what snakes eat? Grub worms.
Yes.
And so the little darlings have nuked all the grub worms, and we haven't had we've had very little, knock on wood, plant death from, you know, roots being eaten by the grub worms. You know, it's been exciting. This is the garden report from Midlothian, Texas. But
Never be a gardener.
and I just have to give all the credit in the world to my wife. I mean, the only part she lets me help with is the hard stuff, the nasty shit. But I don't mind. She's the one with the talent. She's the one with the green thumb, and the one with the endless patience.
You're just the hired labor.
I'm Manuel. I'm Manuel the laborer.
Well, that's good. You complement each other to make this thing the success that it's evidently becoming.
And I'm smart enough to stay away from it. You know, to stay out of her business, you know, because I could go in there with a bunch of opinions and she would just, I'm sure she'd just go passive aggressive. Fine, you take care of it.
Stab you with a cucumber.
And at least this way, you don't have to be concerned if your wife sleeps with the gardener.
Well, she does with the gardener, but that's not important right now. Anyway, we're both gardeners, and I just do the hard part and keep the lawn under control, and she does the skill part. That's the way it should be.
Well, Gardener Skep, Assassin of the Gray, has a question saying, "Is it true that cucumbers are 90% water?" I would say so. Yeah,
probably more.
If not
seriously more. Probably 95% water. I mean, they are just, and the more water you get during their peak growing time, if you can keep them from rotting, they'll get huge. And that's what happened with ours. We didn't even realize. See, cucumber leaves, the leaves that cover them completely. You can't see the fruit of the cucumber down there, the vegetable part. You can't see that at all. It's completely. It's like a cantaloupe plant or watermelons when they get started. You can never tell where the watermelons are starting because they're covered by leaves. These are almost like caladium leaves. They're just completely covered, and so it was when we started pulling back the leaves, and hey, let's see what these things that we grew these. You know how we grew the. We didn't have any hope for these. We turned cinder blocks on their side, filled up the spaces in the cinder blocks with dirt, and planted cucumbers and said, "Let's see if this will kill them." It didn't. Nice. They're growing like crazy. They're going absolutely to the moon. Not only that, they went through the bottom of the thing and rooted at the ground below the cinder block. It's really
absolutely. They will
fascinating.
They'll put down roots. They're 96% water, which makes them actually more water than watermelon.
Yeah,
watermelon's 92% water.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. I did not look that up, so I was just estimating 95%.
It's like iceberg lettuce. That these things are.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's interesting though, because I find that there are certain vegetables that if I'm thirsty, I will crave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and cucumber is one.
Cucumber is one of them, and watermelon is particularly. I mean, it's wonderful that these things are summer produce because your body needs the water.
Yeah, and they're water storage. That's a good point. The other thing was we harvested some onions, cut up the onions, cut up some cucumbers tonight, and put them. My wife makes this kind of sort of like Italian dressing, but basically it's a brine kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And we just soaked the cucumbers and the bits of onions in there, and then use that as a salad garnish. Or sometimes I just open a jar, get a fork, and start eating it.
Oh, yeah.
It's so good.
So
It's
kind of
delicious.
like German cucumber salad.
Yes.
Yeah, very much like that. Except this is just when
Yeah, you can make
I'm
some.
accustomed to it. I really enjoy it.
You can make some tzatziki.
Yep.
Cut up
You
a bunch of
absolutely could.
cucumber in it.
And if you like blue cheese dressing, you can do blue cheese pickles.
Oh yeah,
And if you want to kill me, you could do that.
yeah. Well, that's your allergy. Like
Two birds for
You and functional
Yeah.
with the. Got to be careful. Got to be careful about them cheeses.
So what you're saying is 3 birds with 1 stone.
Yeah.
Cucumber's my favorite.
Sanguine, your life would be miserable without me.
And cucumber's my favorite topping to put on things like burgers or in wraps. Or I'm not a big lettuce guy. I prefer the cucumber, and I hate tomatoes. So just give me a whole mess of like cucumber and onion on.
It has good crunch factor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like that too. I like that in burritos. Believe it or not, put cucumbers in burritos.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'll make an Israeli salad with cucumber and onion.
Yeah.
Little bit of tomato, just a little bit, and
Yeah.
just that'll be like big pot of that in the fridge, and then just whatever I'm eating, throw a handful of that on top.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
you
I
Or
want
make
wanna
a
go
great
check my
salad
kitchen.
with lamb and
Yeah.
cucumber and whatnot.
and if you want really good pickles that are able to maintain their firmness, just kind of top and tail the cucumber before you start it in the pickling process, because the top and tail have, I can't remember what it is. It's a specific enzyme that can end up causing them to soften a little bit while they're still attached. So if you hack those off, they stay a bit firmer.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
really, because we do put some we haven't in years, but we used to put them up for pickles, and I'm trying to think if we cut them. I don't remember cutting them. I think
If you don't, they get a bit softer, if I remember correctly. And
at
then
the, at the tips. Yeah.
if you do, then they stay a uniform consistency throughout.
Crunch. I don't really notice because by the time I get to the end of a pickle, I'm throwing the whole thing in my mouth, and it's just blah 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 blah.
Yep.
Yep.
Also, it's kind of weird because when you do that, the ends will kind of contract a little bit. So it almost looks like they're still attached after you know that you cut them off. So you're looking at it going, I could have sworn I took the head off this thing. Nope, that's just the cut surface. That's weird.
It's trying to protect its moisture.
trim away the blossom or stem end of the cucumber, which contains enzymes that can lead to limp pickles.
Yep.
How interesting. Very good. I got that from the kitchen site.
Cool.
And Sanguine is absolutely right about this. This is interesting. Now I've got to know what enzyme it is because
right.
I know my enzymes.
Well, what I will do while you are enzyme hunting is take it around the horn for parting words. And
Okay.
I shall start with Jenna.
Live each day like it's your last.
Good advice. A little scary, but good advice. Functional.
Little quick joke and a quote. Anybody who air drums to Def Leppard with 2 arms is an asshole. And a quote from good old Teddy. Nothing in the world is worth having or worth doing unless it means effort, pain, difficulty. I've never in my life envied a human being who led an easy life. I have envied a great many people who have led difficult lives and lived them well.
Oh, that's nice.
I like that.
Sanguine.
If you're passionate about something, make sure that you devour it. Don't let it devour you.
Unless it's pickles, and then please eat them.
You again, that's you devouring it, not it devouring you. If you're being consumed by pickles, there's something really weird, and I think you have a plant that's related to the Little Shop of Horrors.
I was going to say, Audrey.
Tomatoes.
Audrey,
Yeah.
have you found your enzyme?
No, but I never thought that pickles were such a big deal. But seriously, folks, good ideas like good pickles are crisp, enduring, and very hard to make.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
That works.
Yeah.
A pickle epitaph.
There you go.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us this evening. Thanks for being our chat and being active. I've been noticing all the chit chat back and forth, which is nice. I appreciate that. I don't know who's in this chair tomorrow evening, but you will be wildly entertained, I am sure. And I hope that next Thursday I will have more energy than I do tonight because I have been a dud. But
You did a good job. Thank you for hosting and thank you for having me on.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks to Blind Press,
Ditto.
who went to bed, and we're all going to follow her shortly. Not to
Work
her
out.
bed, but
I'm not.
to okay. Well, yeah, for some of us who slept
Technically,
during the day, that's fine.
I'm in bed.
Well, you've got a head start on me, Jenna. Okay, everybody, thanks a bunch. With that, the zoo is closed. Good night.